mean, it really gives you a different perspective on what life is like in Vietnam in modern day, and it sort of has an amazing energy and vibrancy, and really sort of shows sort of the, it's, I mean, surprising, like what, as far as with the breakdancing and what's going on with you, what, I mean, you made your first film there, and this is your second film, you're also making your third film, you know, what sort of inspired you to sort of tell this story in particular?
Yeah, you know, before I wanted to do per se a dance film, I wanted to do a film about just teenagers. So basically, you know, I make films about what I think are interesting. So what I think is interesting that's happening in Vietnam now is the social dynamics changing. So with that, youth culture kind of changes. So as the economy just keeps growing, now you see more disposable income. So with that, you know, the youth culture starts to change. They start to watch internet a little bit, and with that comes, you know, youth culture in the form of dance. So teens with problems, but at the same time, you know, they're kind of emulating what's happening in the outside of the world, as the government can't really control the internet. So a lot of the dance they learn from just kind of watching other crews from around the world. So at that point, it's just kind of tackling, I guess, the subject and kind of just going there and seeing, you know, who the crews are that you can kind of cast and be in the film. But first and foremost, it was a youth drama, and then the dance came after that. So in the film, it definitely leans a little bit more towards the teen drama side than more typical dance.
And culture there.
It's good, it's good. It was released in Vietnam a month ago. It's good. It was only the second dance film released in Vietnam. So it was well received by the critics, and then with the audience members, they enjoyed it. Typical audiences in Vietnam lean a little bit more towards the slapstick side, and this one is a little bit more nuanced than they're used to, but they still got it. At the same time, it's still tough, you know, because you have more of a dramatic dance film, and you have to compete with, I think when we released a month ago, Thor and Fast and Furious 5 came out the same weekend, so it was very, very hard competition. You know, even for a Vietnamese dance film, you got to compete with the Hollywood ones, so it's not that easy.
Yeah, it's actually surprising that Hollywood films are being released there now.
Yeah. So I think in France they have a 50% quota with, you know, theaters. You have to have 50% French films. Vietnam, I think it's 20%. So, you know, out of 5 films that are playing, you know, maybe 1 will be Vietnamese, and the other 4 will be Hollywood blockbusters in the last 10 years. So there's more production companies, there's more theaters. I think theaters are being built at the rate of 30% more theater or screens are being built each year, so there's more of an audience for films. And they're cheaper to make films there. I mean, you know, that's another reason why a lot of Vietnamese Americans are going back and making films in Vietnam.
And one last, cinematography. You're also into cinematography, and was that difficult doing as far as the dance? And it was great. I mean, you really captured a lot of great dance on the screen. It really, you know, got a sense of the kinetics.
Well, yeah, I've never done a dance film, so I basically, you know, my whole strategy with covering the dance is to have at least 3 cameras going on all the time, and kind of selecting, hopefully, the angles that will cover us in the editing room. So that's just, you know, the typical strategy for dance is multiple cameras, and hopefully, you know, just kind of getting it all and shaping it in the post.
I'll put some questions from the audience right in the middle, and then we'll move around.
So I was wondering, when I was seeing this, how big is breakdancing actually in Vietnam right now? I mean, is it like a big trend, or is this sort of fictionalized?
So the question is, how big is breakdancing in Vietnam right now? Is this a trend, or is this more fictionalized?
No, nothing's fictionalized. It's the biggest growing trend right now. So so let me just throw out, for example, punk rock, a very, very small subculture in Vietnam. Very, very small, but hip hop has become mainstream in Vietnam. But 5 years ago, it was pretty small. So now it's mainstream enough where, you know, commercials, you see it, and in events they'll hire breakdancers to just kind of perform in events, so it's become more mainstream. There are 12 crews in Ho Chi Minh City of Saigon, and then the other big city, Hanoi, there's about the same amount, about 12 crews. And each crew has between 30 to 60 members. So, you know, yeah, it's definitely growing.
Japan audience might get it, or anywhere else like that?
No, we haven't played it. I think we just played the Hong Kong Film Mart, I think, 2 months ago, for Asian buyers. But we don't have distribution in Asian territories yet. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to play the Tokyo International Film Festival in October. I think that'd be a nice festival to attend.
Over here on this side, yes.
Yeah, where did you find the actors for this film?
So the question was, where did you find the actors for the film? How did you cast?
Well, with pure luck, really, because you can approach the film with casting actors and teaching them how to dance, or you can go the other route, which is actually going to the source, going to the dancers and auditioning the dancers, and hoping that you'll get lucky. So basically, I think we saw about 15 girls before we ended up with Kim, Queen Hua, who plays Kim, and it's her first time acting, and you know, she had that kind of raw energy, and also Doughboy, the guy who played Doughboy. He's one of the top dancers at Saigon, but again, you know, we got lucky because he could pull it off, and he was believable. And then the other actors, the other young actors are television actors who are, you know, pretty popular. The girl who plays Mai and the guy who plays Hai, the handsome rich guy. He's, you know, they're both pretty popular in the television world. So it was a mix of first-timers and professionals. So it's very interesting because I've done this before, where you take first-time actors and you mix them with professional actors, and you get this kind of synergy, where the professional actors tend not to overact because the people that they're acting opposite are naturalistic. And then for the first-time actors, they tend to up their game a little bit because they're acting opposite professional actors that they've seen on television. So you get this weird mix that kind of works out, I think.
So the question was about the dancers. Were there any stunt doubles? It seemed pretty complicated. Were those the actual dancers, or how did that work?
No, there were none except for one, and I have to. So nobody knows this, but we shot this film a year ago, last June in Saigon, and I had cut it together. We had a rough cut, and I wasn't quite satisfied with the dance stuff. So this January. Mid-January, I went back to Vietnam because I needed just to kind of improve a few of the dance sequences. So one of the things that I wanted to improve was that, you know, we still didn't have that final move from Kim, and her specialty is kind of like, you know, the chest thumping kind of hip hop, kind of traditional hip hop stuff. But she's not a beat girl. She can't do any flares. But it'd be good to kind of have that. So basically, one day we were rehearsing with her in January this year, and then another girl from her crew was doing some handstands. So I said, okay, well, let's get her. And they were the same size. So we actually, that little handstand at the end is a double. But everything else was, you know, they're straight up. Yeah, we cheated that one.
I have a question, kind of a follow-up with distribution, because this film seems like the themes and the story is very universal with regard to class struggle and youth culture, and especially with modern-day hip-hop as an escape, in a way, from where the youth is now. What is the distribution landscape for this film in the United States?
So the question is about what's the possibilities for this film in the United States. It seems like it's,
It seems like this film fits a lot of genres. It fits really well with the film landscape here.
Well, if you like it, you can see it again in September, because we'll be releasing here in Seattle in September. So it'll be a small release that we're doing. I think we're doing 7 cities, but Seattle is one of them. So if you like the film, please you know, go on Facebook, Saigon Electric, and be a fan, join Facebook. Remember the film when it comes back to Seattle in September and tell your friends. So that's really all you can do is just kind of, you know, hey, I like that film, it was nice, you know, solid, sweet film, and just tell your friends. So we will be back in September. So that's a distribution for the US. We've got about 6 or 7 cities, and then, you know, at some point it'll go on DVD.
How about one or two more? We'll get